This video covers a real criminal case. All information presented is sourced from public court records, official police reports, and verified news sources. In 2006, a series of shootings took place on the freeways of Phoenix, Arizona, leaving 8 people dead and many more injured, in what would become known as the Phoenix serial shooter case. The case began to unfold in May of that year, with the first reported incident occurring on May 6, when a 22-year-old man was shot and injured while driving on Interstate 10. Over the next few months, more shootings were reported, with the majority of them happening on or near the freeways of Phoenix. The victims were random, and the only connection between them seemed to be the fact that they were driving or standing near the freeways when they were shot. As investigators started to look into the case, they found that the shootings were not just random acts of violence, but rather a calculated and deliberate attempt to harm and kill people. You're watching Dark Verdict, where we investigate the cases that haunt us. The investigation into the Phoenix serial shooter was one of the largest and most complex in Arizona's history, with hundreds of tips and leads being followed up on by the police. As detectives started to sift through the evidence, they found a few clues that would eventually lead them to the perpetrators. A white truck was seen near the scene of several of the shootings, and a witness reported seeing 2 men in the truck, who were later identified as Dale Hausner and Samuel Dieteman. The investigation continued for months, with the police following up on every lead, no matter how small. Then investigators found something that changed everything. A search of Hausner's home turned up a gun and other evidence that linked him to the shootings.
3 days later, a witness came forward who had seen the white truck near one of the crime scenes, and this witness was able to provide a detailed description of the truck and its occupants.
But there was one detail nobody noticed at the time: the fact that Hausner and Dieteman had been arrested before, for a series of random shootings in the Phoenix area. The unexpected turn in the case came when it was discovered that Hausner and Dieteman had been working together, with Hausner being the one who actually pulled the trigger in most of the shootings. The reason the case went cold for a while was that the police were looking for a lone shooter, and they did not realize that there were 2 people involved until much later. As the evidence mounted against them, Hausner and Dieteman were arrested and charged with the crimes. The case was finally solved, but the question remains: what drove these 2 men to commit such heinous crimes? Is the case solved? Dale Hausner was convicted of 6 counts of murder and numerous other charges, and he received 6 life sentences. Samuel Dieteman was also convicted and received a life sentence.
The case is now considered closed, but the memory of the victims and the fear that gripped the city of Phoenix during that time will never be forgotten. What do investigators believe today? That Hausner and Dieteman were responsible for all of the shootings, and that they acted together in a twisted game of violence and death.
As we look back on this case, we are reminded of the randomness and senselessness of the violence that was inflicted on the people of Phoenix. The question remains: could this have been prevented, and what can we learn from this case to prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future? Subscribe to Dark Verdict so you never miss a case.